Up next, a pitcher is worth 1,000 words. An extremely rare interview with future Hall of Famer and career nonconformist Steve Carlton. Up close. Hitting Steve Carlton, slugger Willie Stargell once remarked, is like drinking coffee with a fork. That statement tells you something about what the hitters thought of him. For writers and broadcasters who came to know Carlton as enigmatic, distant, even darkly imposing, following the career of one of baseball's all-time greatest pitchers was challenging at best, maddening at worst, but always fascinating. Waiting for Lefty was like waiting for Godot. It was theater of the absurd, a man who stopped talking to the press for a full decade, but who intrigued and dazzled and left few mysteries on the mound. For some 24 seasons, few ever pitched better. 329 wins, more than 4,100 strikeouts, 6 20-win seasons. He was a true artist, as much as any man in the game, letting his creations speak for themselves and creating masterpieces. Today, an extremely rare, extended interview with the J.D. Salinger of baseball pitchers. We'll talk to Lefty about, well, just about anything he wants to talk about, from pitching to the evils of tobacco, to Zen, to his decade-long press blackout. Steve Carlton reemerges and speaks up close.
I don't know the last time I was this excited at doing an interview with any one individual in sports, but I am very excited. Not that that's important to you, Steve Carlton, but excited because I know that this is one of the very few interviews you've ever consented to do. Certainly long form. Number 2 in most left-handed wins. Number 2 in strikeouts all time in baseball. Here is Steve Carlton. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I want to point out a few contradictions, dichotomies, paradoxes, whatever you want to call them. Not to embarrass, but just to point this out, because I'm sure we'll get into an exchange here. You are here promoting Game Winner Sports Management and the collectible Silver Edition Steve Carlton card set. It's a beautiful set. You'll be seeing this in July if you go to the card show, Celebrity Autograph Pavilion in McCormick Place, and this is what you're seeing, the Lefty Carlton trading cards. It's a beautiful set. They are Steve Carlton's own cards, his own creations. He doesn't go with any Fleer or Upper Deck. This is his own company. But here's the contradiction. You hated the past. You hated collecting anything that reminded you of the past. You didn't even like signing autographs, and here you are being public, something that you're not very much of, being public about that very thing.
Yeah, that is true, and I've thought about that often myself. I think it's something that that the public wants. There's a need for this. The set spans my career and with the different teams, and it's we do a little bit of memorabilia stuff back with the company back in Colorado, and we felt there was a need for this. And
was it a struggle for you personally to do it?
I'm not in, the people that run our company are behind this. If it was left up to me, nothing like this would ever get done.
I'm sure not. So I'm sure you wouldn't be here if it was left up to me.
They have to sit there and convince me within the company that there's a need for this, and I have to listen to the arguments, and we thought that this was a good idea at the time.
I want to point out some other things. Your best friend, or one of your best friends in life, beyond your family and Bev, your wife, is Tim McCarver, and we'll hear from him in just a few moments. But he said one of the most interesting things about Steve Carlton I ever heard of. I talked to him yesterday. He said, for a man who was so confident and so sure of himself on the mound and in his life, taking the unpopular views of life, he's the most indecisive man I've ever known. True?
Let me think about that. Yeah, I do. I have a tendency to weigh things to try to arrive at a correct decision. So that might lead to people thinking, area of indecisiveness. But I have to look at all the bits and pieces of information. When I went out to pitch a game, I had that locked in my mind. I had, my pregame rituals were, to sit down and play the game out in my mind prior to actually physically playing the game. And it worked extremely well for me. I knew that when I went out there, I was going to win because I'd already done this and mentally.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about other lives, perhaps, or reincarnation, Taoism, perhaps a little bit later, the spiritual side of you. But there's some other things that are fascinating, or at least interesting to me. You own no television set. You weren't familiar with this show. You haven't seen a baseball game on television since you left, 5 years ago. You have no problems with that. In fact, you like that lifestyle because television does what to you? What does it take away as much as it brings you?
No, I have nothing against television, and you know, it fills a void. I think there's a dearth or a lack of quality television right now. I think there's too much violence on television.
How long have you been without a television in your life?
Oh, well, just a year or so right now. We just moved into a new home, and we don't have a television. We don't, my wife, myself, don't care about television per se.
Another one is that you celebrate no birthdays. I asked you how old you were, and you said, I think I'm 48. Why?
True. Through my my infinite wisdom, I believe that the body follows the mind around, and however the mind dictates to the body reacts. So when you celebrate getting old, and one day you're old and you're angry about it, it's the way I celebrate it, you know.
Celebration in general, Steve, is interesting to me, and you. Ann McCarver, when you won your 4th Cy Young Award, Tim's wife, said, congratulations, we're so proud of you, and hugged you, and you recoiled for a second. You said, I can't celebrate this Cy Young Award. I won't celebrate anything until it's all over for me. She got angry at you, by the way. I don't know if you remember this incident. She got angry at you, saying, how dare you take away my pleasure at seeing something happen for you? And you guys had a little rift temporarily. Yeah. But celebration itself was not a big part of your career or your life, right?
Well, no, we celebrated quite a bit. I just, the discipline side of me, once something was over, I disciplined myself to put it behind me and go on to the next, you know, the next topic or the next conquest or whatever it might be. And I sort of did that to take I remember that night I took sort of a shot at Ann, like, you know, and I did deny her that privilege of, or that pleasure of, you know, the celebration. But it was sort of a jab, but, you know, in jest, I was kind of serious about it, too. You know, that's the way I think.
You're not a baseball fan particularly. You're not a sports fan, maybe more accurate. Your father, Joe, didn't understand the game, didn't like the game. The story goes, you pitched a no-hitter in high school. He didn't even know what happened, what it meant. Oh, I guess Steve did something well because they're mobbing him here. Yeah. But is that true that you particularly are not a big sports fan, or maybe not even a real big baseball fan?
Not really. I never knew stats of teams and players. I barely knew people that were hot coming into a series, and you know, how to pitch them, because I was disciplined to pitch a particular way. Like Ted Williams had the plate broken down to where he could hit 400 if he could discipline himself to lay off certain pitches. I was the other way. I had the plate broken down to where hitters only hit 200 or 150, and that's where I focused this way, and he focused to the internal part of the plate.
I remember reading an article about you where you said, I don't really see the batter. I only see the catcher. The guy at first base, forget, he is not even in the park. I really only see the catcher. The batter is just a thin outline, right?
I don't think I ever really saw the batter. To me, I had reduced it down to an advanced game of catch. If I could get the ball, or when I got the ball to the catcher, I had succeeded in my job, because I've gotten it past the pitcher. Like a lot of people, or excuse me, the batter. A lot of people may look at the batter, and so that's where that in their mind that the pitch stops, and I don't think that's healthy. My job was to get it to the catcher.
A lot of zen in the pitching. I mean, something that appealed to you.
Yeah, it has to be. If you're going to get better physically, you know, I could only do so much, and it has to get mental if you're going to get better. You have to be mentally tough. If you're going to win a lot of games in a row, you have to be mentally tough. You can win, you can look good winning a game, but if you're dwelling on that when you're up against your next start, then you're in trouble. You know, you have to be mentally tough to be consistent.
Orison Marsden, I'm going to take us out of the commercial with this quote, said something that reminded me a lot of Steve Carlton. He said, "The giants of the race have been men of concentration who have struck sledgehammer blows in one place until they have accomplished their purpose. The successful men of today are the men of one overmastering idea, one unwavering aim, men of single and intense purpose. That was Steve Carlton. More after this.
Up Close is brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Come on, let's get a cold one. Our total attendance for today's game.
Would you look at this beer line? I'm going to go back.
What? Foul ball? No, I'm not. Foul ball!
Foul ball? Foul ball? Out of the way!
I got it!
If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down,
Make it 2 Bud Lights, please.
make it a Bud Light.
Hey, you got another ball?
High-performance cars, luxury performance cars, family cars, light trucks. If you've got the car, Michelin's got the tire.
After 26 years of pitching in the majors, I've learned to take care of myself. Like now, when my muscles feel sore, I take Advil. To last as long as I have, you got to stick with what works.
Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
A family grows with care and with planning. With life insurance from the Farmers Insurance Group, your money can grow for later on. Life insurance can help protect your family now as well. Farmers Life Insurance. For safety today and security tomorrow. Farmers Insurance Group. For life.
For a limited time, your family can get on a Yamaha water vehicle for as little as $4 a day, thanks to our special financing offer. At just $4 a day, it's a pretty hot deal. Go for it at your Yamaha water vehicles dealer.
In 1972, Steve Carlton had one of the greatest years in the history of baseball for a pitcher. He had 27 wins. His ERA was 1.97. He struck out 310, 15-game winning streak. And Tim McCarver at that point said he was the most cooperative ball player in one season, perhaps, he'd ever known. I also want you to listen to Tim McCarver talking about how the fact is after that, after 72, I guess 78 is when it really started, you became the most misunderstood athlete, perhaps, of your generation. Here's Tim McCarver, his lifelong close friend, talking about is Carlton misunderstood?
That's a bit of a shame. It's more than a bit of a shame because he's a very articulate, intelligent guy. He is more than one-dimensional. There are a lot of players who think only about baseball. Steve has varying interest. He is a verified onophile. He loves wines. He's been to France a couple of times, to the vineyards there.
Does he take himself seriously or too seriously, would you say? At times?
At times he takes himself too seriously, yes. At other times he doesn't take himself seriously enough. And which I think is the lighthearted part about him that people don't see. He's a very, very funny man. He is quick-witted, he's sharp, and generally speaking just has an acute wit and intelligence, and that, as I said, is a shame that people aren't privy of this.
One of my favorite stories he told me yesterday about you was traveling cross country. He went hunting with you 7 out of 11 years. You traveled thousands of miles. And I think you were in Missoula, Montana. I could be wrong about this, where it was. But you hadn't spoken to him for 9 hours in the car. And he was giving him the creeps after a while. He didn't answer him. And you saw this old man who had like 3 teeth in his mouth. And he was just sitting by himself, and all of a sudden the music started. You started dancing the polka with this guy. And he thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen in his life. You remember that incident?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
You were a spontaneously funny guy.
It was a hunting camp. There's nobody to dance with.
There was no one else to dance with, so you dance with this old guy.
Yeah, that was quite amusing, yes.
What would you like people to know about you that maybe isn't generally known? That's part of it, I suppose. Well, from your mouth, do you have a need to be understood, Steve?
No. I don't really care if people understand me or not. I don't think it's it's not important. They should understand themselves. My greatest task is understanding myself and where I fit into the picture of creation, the ongoing process of forever. And it's not important. You should be more in tune with self than people worried about what I do or how I perceive life. Because they have their own problems and their own enigmatic philosophies to figure out about their process.
You an old soul? Have you been here before?
Oh, do I have recollection? No, but I do believe in that. We all have, yes.
You're a Taoist, and for those that don't know, Taoism is the belief of long life, everlasting life, and good fortune in one's life. There are also some people who view that kind of ideology in conflict with your inherent love of hunting. Although killing wasn't as important.
Don't hunt anymore.
You stopped hunting. Yeah. Why?
I lost my desire to do that. I just...
Did killing turn you off?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Life is... the animals are more interesting alive than they are dead, but...
you now actually have pheasant in your ranch in Durango. We used to shoot hunt pheasant, right?
Yeah, we used to hunt pheasant quite a bit. It's a beautiful bird, but they're prettier alive, more interesting.
Why did Larry Boa fear you?
Because I made him fear me.
Why? Why did you make him fear you?
He was an antagonist in the clubhouse, and he always, Lazinski, he was always on Lazinski, and Lazinski weighs 200 pounds more than Boa, and I just watched this act go on, and I didn't feel like being pestered by Boa or people like that, so I just intimidated him to a point where he didn't know which way to take me, if I was kidding or serious. So.
Well, you used to grab his neck, McCarver told me, and squeeze his neck until his neck veins would go purple, and then you'd say, just stay away from me, we'll be just fine. And then when he became a manager, when he became a teammate, actually, he would be afraid to actually go out to the mound when you were, needed to conference. He'd send somebody else out there. He was scared of you.
Yeah. I used to grab his face. Yeah.
Grab his face?
Yeah, grab his face, yeah. But it was, done in directive fun, it was...
all in good fun, eh?
I just didn't smile. I didn't smile while I did it, that's all.
Oh, that's got to be frightening. Yeah, okay. Nolan Ryan returned last night. He's 46 years old. He has win number 321. He threw a fastball, something like 94 miles an hour. Are you in admiration of that? Could you do that? Something close to that at your age, 48?
Could I throw 90? No.
Could you throw 85?
Yeah. Oh, I can throw in the middle 80s. Yeah. But I can win. Pitching is about winning.
What do you admire most about this guy? And you trail him in strikeouts.
He's a genetic beauty. I mean, who can throw 100 miles an hour? There aren't many. And then at this age, continue to throw in the middle 90s is just phenomenal.
When you were in your zone, that's the phrase everyone uses, 72, you were pitching the way you pitched, and I outlined some of those numbers before. Were you as close to perfection for you as an athlete that you ever were at any point in your life, in your athletic career? At 72, I'm talking.
Mentally, I was the best I've ever been. I don't recall ever throwing a pitch down the heart of the plate. It was just always, the pitches were always on the corners of the plates. And, balls breaking out of the strike zone. And, Timmy leading the way, he has such a great ability to set up hitters. He was a bridge player, and he remembered sequences and pitches and batters and how we got them out, how we set them up, and situations, and he was phenomenal at it. And he was such an asset to myself and to other pitchers.
Steve Carlton, in a very rare interview, extended interview. We'll continue more after this.
Music Express, voted #1 by the National Limousine Association, has offices in Los Angeles and the East Coast. Music Express can handle your corporate needs anywhere in the U.S. and worldwide.
Nat King Cole, a man whose music thrilled millions. Now Capitol Records proudly presents the legendary Nat King Cole in an incredible musical collection featuring 100 of his greatest songs. And if you call now, this beautiful biography filled with photographs and stories will be yours free when you purchase the Nat King Cole recordings. Just call. Nat King Cole comes to you either on 4 cassette tapes for $47.85 or 4 CDs for $59.85. Call now, and this collection, including the beautiful Nat King Cole biography, can be yours. So call now.
Is it on?
Today, Wendy's is happy to announce a great low price on a new old-fashioned single combo. It's a quarter a pound of fresh beef, hot off the grill, made just the way you want it. Plus, biggie fries that are really big, and you get your favorite 20-ounce drink. Now, that's what I call a real meal. What's more, you save a bundle.
Try Wendy's old-fashioned single combo, just $2.99 every day.
Was it something I said?
Last year, Patty Sheehan defeated Julie Inkster in a dramatic playoff. This year, they're both back, and Julie Inkster's more determined than ever to win her first U.S. Women's Open title. The drama begins Thursday on ESPN.
Coming up on SportsCenter at 7 Eastern, the Ryan Express is back on track. The Magic Man materializes in Indy. And hey, how's the weather up there? Better not say that to this NBA skyscraper on SportsCenter, 7 Eastern.
Thank you all. I love you. You're great. In Philadelphia, baseball is a field of dreams, and this surely is heaven down here. And I thank you once again. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Steve Carlton night, a peculiar night, I think, on a lot of levels, because you articulated so many things that you hadn't articulated before in just a few lines. Baseball was your field of dreams. You loved the fans. If there's one regret I think you might have in not speaking all those years was that you couldn't tell the fans how much you appreciated them. And you actually had to call press conferences later in your career to say that. I want to say this has nothing to do with the fans. I love the fans, right?
Yeah. Well, they make it all worthwhile. The game is the game unto itself, but if it weren't for the fans, then you wouldn't have very much. There would be no reason to play.
You are an emotional man, but yet a man that keeps his emotions in check. The best example of that, you're not a religious person. You said, thank God. You don't believe in any organized religion, and yet somebody once said you could look at a crucifix and be moved to tears.
Oh, yeah, what it represents, obviously, yeah. I'm very much a spiritual kind of person. I was never into any, say, formal religion. I think it limits, you know, what there is to learn about all of creation, because they have their own points of view, and they polarize themselves against how people may agree or disagree with them. So it doesn't bring man together per se, because there's over 500 religions in the world, and we've killed more people in the name of God than any other thing of all of existence, you know.
I'm not trying to trivialize with a profound question, because we're on a sports show here, and it's supposed to be a light show, but this is an important question. It's the most important question anyone should ask themselves in life. Why do you think you were put on this earth?
Teach the world how to throw a slider.
Just that simple, huh?
I don't know.
There's something else to it besides that?
Well, I think we all have our own personal lessons to learn, our own personal contracts, and we do it, in my understanding of creation, we do it many, many times, and this we might just have to learn a small lesson in each lifetime, and but it all starts here. I think the transmigration or the evolution of the soul starts in the physical world.
10 seconds before we go to the break. What if in your next life you were reincarnated as a sports writer?
What a coup de grace.
I was going to say maybe there'd be suicide involved. I don't know. We'll come back. Final moments with Steve Carlton after this.
Travel arranged through Continental. One airline can make a difference. One pass lets you earn free travel faster than any other airline. That's the difference on Continental.
This is hydroplaning in less than an inch of water, and they're not being pulled by a boat, but by Goodyear AquaTread radials. AquaTread's deep groove design channels water away to keep more tire in contact with the road for outstanding wet traction. This is hydroplaning. This is AquaTreading, the all-season AquaTread only from Goodyear. It comes with a 60,000-mile tread life warranty. Goodyear AquaTread. Try a set. We like to say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
We're gonna take your picture. Here we go. Okay, give me a big smile. Don't worry, kids love me. Oh, it's the phone. They want you to smile. They'll call you back. So this guy walks into a psychiatrist with a squid on his head. Oh, you've heard this one. Ow! Funny thing happened to me on the way to the sandbox today. Look, I'm the mouse man. Don't cry. It's just me. It's not really a mouse. I'm dying here. You like French fries? You like McDonald's? What did I tell you? Kids love me.
Number 2 all-time left-handed winner in baseball, Steve Carlton, an extraordinarily rare interview because he just doesn't do this kind of thing. Bob Gibson, if I say that name, what does it mean to you?
Consummate athlete, hard worker, a pro, a pro's pro, man's man.
The source of inspiration for you, perhaps, athletically in your career?
Not the, but, you know, up amongst them, you know. I like Koufax as a left-hander. You know, I think he was mechanically pure. Gibson was just power, intimidation and power. I learned a lot from him about intimidation. He never talked to opposing hitters and always gave that air of, you know, uncertainty, because opposing hitters like to always, you know, approach the starting pitcher and, you know, get that edge of comfort. And he never allowed that. And he intimidated.
Your 300th win came ironically against the Cardinals. How did that feel? Was it ironic to you in any way that you had, of course, the contract, you know, problems with the Cardinals, over $65,000, by the way. But here's your 300th win. Was it ironic for you, Steve?
I guess, you know, the stage was set pretty well for that. I didn't really give much thought at the time. It was just another game to get out of the way for me. The media was all hyped up about this, and I was going to break my silence at that time and talk to them, but we were fighting for a pennant in '83, and it got to be that the important thing was that I was going to talk to the media instead of us fighting for a pennant. So I reversed my, you know, my feelings at the time and decided not to talk to them.
Final thoughts. Any regrets? Would you do anything differently in not having spoken for a better part of a decade?
No, I don't look back. I thought about it long and hard. I'd had a pretty good understanding of what was going on when I went into my decision. I'd read papers back in the 50s where they wrote about the game as though they were in the press box. There weren't a lot of quotes, and you know, mystery and mastery and things like that were all the words that they used to use. And these things came out after I stopped talking to the press, and I never changed. I was never a different person, but all of a sudden now I was mysterious.
Edison, on the first requisite to success, said, the ability to apply your physical and mental energies to one problem without ever growing weary. I don't really think he ever grew weary and applied those physical and mental energies to what it is he did. The arm broke down, the shoulder broke down, the body broke down a little bit. He never grew tired of all of that. In that sense, I think Steve Carlton wishes he could pitch forever, and maybe could, maybe will in another life. Steve Carlton, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
We'll come back, wrap things up close right after this.
Up Close is brought to you by Nissan. It's time to expect more from a car.
Do you have a problem with food sticking to your barbecue? Just spray All Natural Pam on a cold grill, and your problem will go away. Pam makes summer less sticky.
Anytime, any place, go fish. Anyone, any taste, go fish.
At Long John's, get what you want any way you want it, anytime.
You can get your win anytime. Go fish. Long John Silver's.
It has a state-of-the-art security system with numerous electronic sensors located at key points of entry. Should a thief try to break in, an alarm sounds, lights flash, and all operation automatically shuts down. We've heard Fort Knox has a rather impressive security system, too. The Nissan Maxima GXE. Now you can lease the luxuriously equipped Maxima for just $1,000 down and $269 a month for 24 months.
The first-place Phillies face rookie sensation Mike Piazza and the Dodgers tonight. All the ball on ESPN.
We thank Lefty Steve Carlton for joining us up close. It was worth waiting for Lefty. Tomorrow, a new generation of Phillies pitcher. Curt Schilling will talk about his problems of late. That's tomorrow up close. We'll see you.